Hey billionaires, you're tuned in to the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for Billions Season 2, Episode 6, Indian 4. Join us as we break down the episode and give you our thoughts and predictions. Let's go!
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin!
Say boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me. Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead.
Ooh, I never watched the video.
Come on in, everybody. Welcome to the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for Billions. The best episode of Season 2 was tonight. Loved it. Can't wait to get into it and break it down with you guys. I am your lead host, Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. And I'm joined by the most humble person that I know. It's Andrea Fasano.
So sweet of you, Frank. Thank you.
That's just what I think
Episode
about.
6, guys. You guys can follow me on all social media at Andy Fasano.
Oh, just want to let the song go
I'm
for a little bit.
really enjoying this song right now. So,
Do you dance to it in your apartment by yourself?
not yet. Mostly in my car because
Okay.
I'm usually in my car when I hear it. But yeah, so then I feel it there.
Absolutely. I
You
dance
do?
to it
You
in my
dance to
apartment.
it, yeah.
Absolutely, why not? So, we want to reach out to all of you listeners with our social media shout-outs to start out our show. Comment on Twitter or directly on our YouTube page using the hashtag ABTVBillions, and we'll read a selection of your comments every week. So, Andrea does the YouTube. Andrea, did you see anything interesting on YouTube this week?
Yeah, a lot of really great responses to our show last week. You guys, thank you so much. And you know, it's true because we have some really great listeners and followers of this show, and one of them always hits the nail on the head. You know, VLG says, bet money Axe will offer to drop the lawsuit against Chuck if Wendy comes back.
Boom,
Bingo!
prediction.
Yeah, complete, dead on, you know, nail on the head prediction. So really good with that one. I mean, it was edited, so I'd like to see what he said before that, but let's not even go crazy. And then we have a couple of people. Captain Osage is back with some comments, and talking about the data breach. Hey, now the season is still young. Plenty of ways the dating app can play out. We were talking about the dating app
Kiva,
last
yeah.
time. And a lot of talk about Chuck's revelation during therapy of his insecurities was no surprise to anyone except Wendy. Agreed. I'm actually disappointed that Wendy was so shocked. Or was she? Oh, and I'm so glad that Bobby put Lara in her place. She's my least favorite character. And that got a bunch of likes and a bunch of replies. So
Yeah, and I can see that sentiment being out there, and I largely share it. Even this week, and we could start off the show just talking about Lara real quick. You know, she's a little bit butthurt about the fact that Bobby went after her, and we talked about this last week on the show. I went back and listened to our conversation. I was like, that's really good. We had a great breakdown of the way that conversation should have gone down. And you know, I think the fact that she's not getting over it and maybe guilting Bobby a little bit and carrying over the negativity from last week's events has poisoned the rest of the relationship to where now that boast that she had in the second episode or when they were at the Alpha Cup of I've heard of married couples having issues has now been, you know, a false prophecy because now she is having problems with Bobby.
yeah.
So did you think that it was warranted for Lara to carry over the hurt that she felt from the blunt conversation that Bobby gave her at the end of last week's episode?
Do you mean as far as into this week's episode?
Yeah, obviously she's still pissed
She
about
is.
the way that he
Yes,
talked to her.
but I'm warranted. I'm gonna say yes because is she holding a grudge? Yes, but I think that we learned in this episode that just time and time again. I mean, she brought up the Galapagos from, you know, season 1 episode really early.
Yeah.
And she's clearly still just seeing pattern after pattern. And we, as the audience, know he's lying to her. And she's not dumb. And so she obviously sees that she's not being put first. I'm not your partner. You know, and she says that. And so, but she came out, you know, in the first season like, oh, Bobby and I are like this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm his right hand woman. There's nobody else, when we see that he obviously puts Wendy even before her.
That's a great point. And
So
even
I
after
agree
the
that
dinner,
she's still grudged, like her
you're
grudges.
okay with that.
Yeah.
So even after they have the dinner conversation and she takes the helicopter away and
Amazing.
leaves him there,
Another one of those moments where you have to be watching, because if you're just listening, you miss that.
Yeah, I had 6 rewinds tonight. I was counting them, so there was a lot of me
Yes.
going, oh wait, because there's a lot of times there's crucial information right after a cut. So
Yes.
cut to a new scene, character name or something important that is stated right at the top, and then you get the fallout reaction from it between the characters. So yeah, Billions keeps us on our toes.
Yes, it does.
But getting back to Lara and Bobby, you're right. Bobby lied to her again, and they sit down to dinner, and Bobby had already done the deal with Wendy, which we'll get into in a minute. But then at the end of the episode, his apology included the same type of thing. He said, well, what if I don't see Wendy? If I don't have sessions with her? Well, he already agreed to that at the skate park.
It was
with
Wendy's
Wendy.
idea, not
it was
yours.
Wendy's idea. So he's doing the same thing, which to me forecasts more trouble down the road for them. Because like you said, she wants to be his partner. She wants to be a part of the decisions. And she had a really good line tonight where she said, this isn't the marriage I signed up for. So that to me was a big red flag to say, uh-oh, I think we've got more problems coming here.
Yeah.
And I do want to give you credit because I went back to watch the first episode of our show on predictions, because I came in here fully prepared tonight to say, look at me, pat myself on the back. Chuck and Wendy are back together, and Wendy's back at Axe Capital, which I predicted very early on.
Yes.
But you also made a prediction, and you said that there was going to be a personal issue that developed between Axe and Lara, and it's come to pass. So
I didn't even remember I said that.
bravo.
So thank you.
Yes, bravo. But how did you see this coming then, so early on, and can they get it fixed?
I think it's going to go kind of the way of Chuck and Wendy right now. I think that there's a huge match between what's going on in each relationship. You okay over there? So I think that obviously we saw Chuck and Wendy are having now bigger problems, and it just keeps going on and on. And by bigger problems, he says deal breaker. And
Well, okay.
I mean, that's a whole other topic. We'll get into that. But I think that it's going to be where... Listen, we saw the makeup, but again, she's not dumb, and she will quickly see that it's just thing after thing and she's not going to be cool. I'm sorry. She said she'll try to handle the fact that Wendy's still there. She's not going to be cool with it. There are people, by the way, commenting in our chat right now.
Oh, okay.
And one of them says she also constantly brings up her family and how she has had to screw them over for him, which I think is a lot of cause for contention between the relationship. And someone else says Wendy is my favorite character on the show, which we all agree with you.
Yeah, we all agree with you there.
Yes.
But Lara has some deep-seated issues with Wendy, and it's not that there's a sexual component between Bobby and Wendy. It's not that Lara fears that Bobby would leave her for Wendy. It's more that, exactly like you said a couple minutes ago, Lara feels that Wendy is closer to Bobby than her, and is more trusted and has more say and decision-making power. And, given the deal that Wendy's getting to come back, and I think this is where your prediction again is prescient, is now Wendy has a piece of the profit sharing. She gets a 1% consideration if Axe Capital is ever sold. And, Wendy actually asked for a piece of the company, and that all belonged to Bobby. So I think, exactly like you're saying, this is going to forecast even more problems for Lara and Bobby down the road, because Wendy's got a huge stake in the company now. Not only in regular compensation, but in the profit sharing as well. So,
Plus, it's an
rough
emotional
times ahead.
connection. And Lara doesn't want to compete with that.
I didn't see much emotional connection between Bobby and Wendy tonight. It's more
Because
like,
it's there. That's what causes so much. What's that called when it's like?
friction.
Yes, it's so much friction. Oh, we have Captain Osage watching live.
Oh, sweet.
How could anyone be cool with their partner trusting someone else more than them? Boom.
Yep, just said it.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying. That kind of there's such a tryst between Wendy and Bobby because of that tension that's between them, and we've seen it from episode 1. So That's true. And Jason says, yes, there is. They were naked in a hot tub together.
Who's Jason?
Jason Aaron. He's also in the live chat.
Do you know him?
I personally, I may, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How long have you known him?
I've known him for a little bit now.
Oh, a little bit?
Yeah.
Just a little bit? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you for watching out
Yes.
there, Jason. It's great to have you with us. And thank you to everybody
I love this. We have such a chat going on.
Yeah, I love the people commenting on the chat, and continue to do that, and you can sprinkle those in
Okay,
as we
perfect.
keep going. But Wendy and Chuck on the other side of this, first of all, I love this episode. It was just so good from start to finish, and I really thought we're getting back to the old Billions now. I thought the first couple episodes of this season were sort of disjointed in a way, and now I think we're back to we're on like peak Billions right now. I mean, every episode's so good. There's so much clashing happening, and really, Chuck, I was ready to walk in here tonight and say, hey, this was a victory Chuck episode. You might as well rename it as Chuck's Comeback. Not only does he get rid of all the civil cases thanks to Wendy, he beats Boyd, does a deal with him, and saves his job with the AG at the same time.
Yep, a lot going on.
And he's winning his wife back. I mean, they're together at the beginning of this episode, and they have such a great evening together with their kids, and they almost kiss, and I'm like, oh, kiss her, kiss her, kiss her.
I was wondering if it was a rule from therapy that they couldn't touch.
No.
I know it wasn't said, but I just was thinking that. You've seen it before.
You've seen it
But
before?
then he puts his hand, where they say you can't have any sexual interaction because you're trying to heal. So you're not supposed to get that involved. You know what I mean? Like, because it makes it messy.
Yeah.
But he puts his hand.
That
it's
was
like
so awkward. Oh, he puts the hand on the shoulder.
I mean, just the
like,
most
oh,
non-romantic move. You know,
Hey,
like.
you. Oh, they
What?
were right there. Just kiss her. Just kiss her. And
Aren't you thinking, like, why didn't he? And she
of course
wanted
I
him
did.
to.
Of course she did. You know what? And this goes back to my dating coach stuff from
Is this
last
power?
week.
Was that a power move?
No, a girl will, like, you can't blink, right? You can't blink when you have that opportunity to be a man and go in for the kiss, and you know you want to, so why are you afraid to do it? Because she might not like you, she might
Pull away,
reject you,
right.
pull away. All that stuff just shows how unconfident Chuck is in the relationship.
His wife.
Yeah.
She said yes to everything.
I know. And she was sitting right there.
Guys, these are literal lessons that Billions is teaching you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, having a gorgeous woman like that face to face with you, go for the kiss.
And
Do
especially with their history being so sexually based and heavy and all that kinky stuff, like, just give her a kiss. Like, of course she loves you. Like, of course she's into that. She just wants to be wanted, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And she loves him so much that she went and included an out for his lawsuits in her contract negotiation with Axe. It was her biggest demand. And, basically told Bobby, look, this is a non-starter if you don't get it done. So to me, the battle really has shifted, and it's no longer on Chuck needing to make it up to Wendy, because he's clearly crossed that bridge by his comments to his son about how he messed everything up and that Wendy really wasn't to blame. Won her over, won her back, and she said she appreciated it. Now, yes, they should have got to the kiss, and at the end of the episode, though, I'm left wondering, why did Chuck get so mad? I get that you want to handle things on your own because you're a man, but if you're a man, you kiss your wife when she's standing face to face with you. It's like this false pride that he has.
Well, that's why I was thinking it was a power move. But we have some comments in the chat. I don't think so. He knew she would do it. Jason said he thought it was the wrong thing to do. Captain Osage says it's the string theory. He's terrified of ruining the delicate reconnection, which that's what I was referring to. And then Stormy Wood says, I think Chuck's father and his shady dealings are so going to blow up in Chuck's face.
Sure.
That's definitely segueing into another part of this episode. And I think the dad meddling too is going to get a little hairy.
But wait, before we
go there,
I want to know from you.
Yeah.
If you think Chuck should have got mad about Wendy doing the deals for him, making those cases
I
go
think,
away.
like you said, his pride constantly makes the wrong decisions for himself. You know how he had the talk with Brian? Didn't he have the talk about his gut?
Yeah.
Whoever it was with, I don't think it was Brian. It might have been Kate. But just his gut, for some reason, his gut lets him govern his emotional relationship interactions. And it's not right. I think he doesn't know how to, like, just have compassion, maybe. But I think his pride definitely gets in the way.
Obviously, because this whole episode starts with Ira sitting down with Chuck and being like, hey, normally I love overbilling people, and I've got hundreds of hours of billings coming your way. So Chuck is nearing financial ruin. His wife, who loves him and goes out and takes care of this issue for him, should be a wonderful moment where they're coming together and they're both working at getting back together.
Yeah, but you forget the whole him and Axe thing. I mean, he basically despises him. And he also knows, which we haven't thought about or brought up, the fact that he can't go back after him if she works. And she just didn't think about it. Yeah. So in that case, look, he tried to keep his job, really, we know, all for one reason. Not the financials, not this, to get Axe. Yeah. That's what the whole show's about. So yeah. That's it. I'm laying it down.
No, I agree with you, and I do want to pat myself on the back. I predicted that that Bobby would use the lawsuits as a bargaining chip to get Wendy back, and that came to pass. So y'all are on the cutting edge of societal evolution listening to this show as we predict the future events of Billions. But I'm upset with Chuck. I don't like the way the episode ended because we were so close. Yeah. We were so close to them getting back together.
I know.
And now,
but it couldn't be that easy.
It hasn't been easy to this point. It's been half the season where they've been apart, and a lot of difficult moments. But I thought there was an interesting foreshadowing line in this episode where Chuck is recapping therapy with Ira, and he says, you know, we have the most tender moments before the worst moments. And I thought that was foreshadowing, and you could have predicted that the end of the episode was going to come that
Yes,
way.
Very good point. Yeah. Very good point. Like lightning, he said.
Yeah, exactly, like lightning. So we had that glimmer of hope, and then it was taken away from us. So, look, so while Chuck is out there battling, he won the Boyd case. I thought that was really cool. And Boyd does not have the same intestinal fortitude that Bobby has. Yes. So Bobby didn't really learn anything from this, but his buddy's going away. Well, he's not going away. He got 5 years of probation, $60 million fine.
But he gave in.
He gave in.
He gave Rhoades, you know, Axe's arch nemesis, power by winning. So
it's a big victory for Chuck.
Yeah.
And he's safe from getting fired, losing his job, being sued into oblivion, losing his home, paying his defense fund. And the other thing, too, is that Dake goes away. I mean, how about that scene with Lonnie and Dake? Lonnie, I thought, was really admirable in trying to push off the interview because he knew the truth and he didn't want to lie. And he was frank with Rhoades, which I liked.
Yes, I really appreciated that. And I really appreciated it that at the end when he knew that he wasn't going to be, you know, kind of calling him out and giving him in, he basically like pounds the wall because he knew he was being honest. He did the right thing, and it still came up in his favor. So I was happy about that.
Goodbye, Dake. I'm over him.
Yeah,
glad he's gone.
I have to say, I feel like he should win an award for his role on the show.
Really?
I thought he did that well. I thought he stood out that much, and he was that good.
He was that good in what way? What did he make you feel? that made you think like, wow, this is really good?
Kind of intimidated in a really dorky way. Like, and his whole look, I was looking at him tonight and watching him with the glasses.
Yeah.
It was like they brought him back to the 1950s.
Yeah.
And there's something about that in this present day and with the way that this world, the modern world is, with the money and the, you know, everything that was kind of being said in the courtroom, all that stuff with the, you know, the sand worker and all those people. Having Dake there kind of brought me back to that Mad Men era, and it just, there was something about that. I don't know. I can't really express it, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed his role, and it's not the last we'll see of him.
Okay. We'll have to see
That's
if
a
Dake
prediction.
comes
Yeah,
back.
we'll put that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down.
You should have saved that one to the end. I've got a big prediction coming
Yeah?
up.
Oh, good. I'm
For
excited.
the end of this episode here, so stay tuned for that. Reminder to subscribe to us out there on YouTube. Thank you to everybody who's on the online chat right now. I think this is our most active online chat we've had as an after show. So thank you so much to everybody. And you can subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes as well. Leave us a review on there. Talk about how amazing I am, how humble Andrea is, and we'll greatly appreciate it. You guys rock out there. Thank you so much. The casino deal falls through. A real problem here that has reared its ugly head. Bobby goes to upstate New York. He goes to Sandicott, where the casino is supposed to go. And lo and behold, one phone call from Rhoades Sr. to, by the way, how awesome was it to see David Strathairn as a guest actor playing Blackjack Foley, who apparently has a lot of influence on where casino locations go.
I was like, oh, we get their own. Did you see it? Remember that? That was one of his earlier roles.
Yes,
he's so great.
I primarily remember David Strathairn for Jason Bourne. He was in Bourne Ultimatum. I primarily remember him from that. But yeah, he's a big time actor.
Yep. Good Night and Good Luck.
Yeah. Good Night and Good Luck was his feature. You know, Oscar nominated, big time actor playing.
I've always loved him.
Yeah, what seems like a small role, but no, he's going to be far more valuable in the next few episodes as this casino deal plotline plays itself out. What do you see? What do you think's coming for that?
Interesting. You think that's going to happen? Because I feel like it's in the Catskills. It's going away.
No, I don't think it's done. There's too much invested in it from Chuck's point.
$5,000. Yeah, only $5,000. $5 billion.
Yeah,
and the Indian 4.
And so, if I could try to simplify this for everybody, basically what Axe did was he bought bonds, which are essentially government loans. You give the government money, you invest in them, and then you get a certain percentage return when it pays out. And this was troubled bonds because the county was about to go under. But if they get the casino and they start paying back on those bonds, Bobby stands to make a lot of money. And I'm sure our financial whiz listeners out there will correct me if I was wrong on that. But essentially, there's a lot of money tied up in this project, and it's enough to, as Wags said in the meeting with Bobby, is enough to keep new shoes on you for the rest of your life, and there's enough, if it goes south, to shut the doors.
Yep.
So I think this is going to be
now with his
big
ante,
project.
yeah, I don't think he's involved in the project. I just want to be clear. I don't think the casino project he's involved in anymore. I think that he obviously has to deal with the town now, as you were just explaining, because that's where his money goes. So the casino's going to Catskills. It's over. It's in its own right. Maybe because of Rhoades' dad, Chuck Sr., we'll hear about it a little bit again, but yeah, I don't know. It would be a shame for that actor to only have been used for that little part because he's so fantastic. But I love it. They just had him sitting down, and the camera crept from around his face, you know? They didn't show you who he was right away.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that plays into it all, because he's obviously a big actor, and you know, we know who he is. So
yeah, big deal, big actor. But I think ultimately where this line is going is that because Rhoades Sr. made the call on that, Rhoades Jr., having had all the civil cases canceled, is going to have to call his dad and say, hey, you need to make this deal happen back in Sandicott for Axe. Yeah, because look, Axe helped Wendy by dropping all the civil cases.
No way!
Yes. He dropped all the civil cases, and now they're going to work together
Oh my gosh.
on getting this
You're
casino
rewriting
deal through.
Billions,
I
because
am.
no.
I am.
No.
Why don't you see that? Why do you disagree?
Unless Chuck has some personal, not vendetta, personal thing to gain on the other side of that deal, he's not going to care. He hates Axelrod so much. Look at even what he did with Boyd. It was obviously all a setup so that he can win in the end. There's nothing there for him. No.
Well, we're going to disagree
I think the
on that
dad
one.
did it, obviously, to just screw over Axelrod, but that's it.
Obviously, I think Rhoades Sr. hates Axe more than Rhoades
yeah,
Jr.
True.
I
Probably.
think Rhoades Jr. is kind of like, yeah, I really don't like this guy, and I don't like that my wife's working for him again. But, you know, he's willing to let some things go. I mean, Chuck was just so excited to have beaten Boyd, be sitting with Ira and his dad at drinking Johnny Blue, which is the best scotch out there.
I've never had it.
You need to have it.
Yeah.
Do you like scotch?
I can try some of them. Like, I can't even tell you if it's more peaty or mossy or whatever.
Yeah.
One of them totally grosses me out, but I can try some.
See, I would never
Usually
give you
it's
Johnny Blue.
overwhelming.
I would, yeah. Most girls are not scotch drinkers.
No.
So don't ever have Johnny Blue then. It's
Okay.
way too expensive
I know.
for you to not know
It's
the
like
difference.
$32 a shot.
It's a $200 bottle of scotch. It's amazing. So anyway,
They're all chatting up in here how Chuck needs to rein in his dad.
yeah. Well,
so-
Rhoades Sr.'s a big villain now, and again, he hasn't ever had a problem with getting involved in Chuck and Wendy's business, their personal, relationship. Now, Rhoades decides that he wants to Rhoades Sr. decides that he wants to screw it with Bobby, and Bobby's gonna find out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let me see here. What else? So,
Captain Osage says, can you imagine if he does, how would that look to Dake?
can you imagine what?
If Chuck reins in his dad?
Yeah. Well, how would they look to Dake? I think Dake's gone. I think Dake was more concerned with the public servant aspect of the investigation. And, I really like that scene where Dake is like, you know what motivates me? And I was shouting at the TV, I don't even care. If I'm Chuck, I sit there and be like, no,
Bye.
leave. Yeah. Go ahead and get out of here. I don't care. But he did have an intensity about him.
I'm glad they give him his moment.
Yeah. To explain his motivation, because this just seems like a guy who wakes up in the morning mad and wakes up coming after people in power as hard as he possibly can. But the attorney general just goes out there and says, well, you're going to have to back off on this. And Chuck is just so strong. And it was strong Chuck tonight until the very end, of course. But I don't think those words are forever. I don't think it is a deal breaker with him and Wendy. We've seen him come back to her before.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he goes for the sculptor. I think that's what brings in that story.
We
now.
forgot about her. Melanie was the character's name. She clearly knows how to choke Chuck. Chuck likes to be choked.
Yes, he does.
It's a great tongue. It's not a tongue twister. Chuck likes to be choked. It's alliteration.
It's alliteration.
It's perfect. So yeah, I really like this episode a lot. There were some really good through lines, some plot action coming to a climax with the Boyd case, with the casino deal, and with Wendy and Chuck possibly getting together, but ended up not being able to do so. So, any other topics that I missed that you wanted to talk about?
No, it's funny. I loved that the title was about this bike, but I really wish the title of this episode was Deal Breaker, because it just felt like there were deal breakers left and right between Lara and him, between Wendy and him, between Wendy and Rhoades, elsewhere, throughout each company even, everywhere you look, there was a deal breaker.
Yeah.
So, but that was cool. I liked that whole. I thought he was gonna knock the bike over when he found out about the deal, and I was worried about that because I wouldn't want to see that. But
right, I mean, these bikes are very old. They're antiques. I think they were made from the 30s through like 1945-ish.
Crazy.
So super valuable bikes. But I do like that idea. The theme of tonight was deal breakers, and Rhoades Jr. has had a lot of problems with his dad getting involved in his business. And when you have, a moment of victory and celebration, Rhoades Sr. was pushing Jr. to run for governor or senator. And Chuck's just like, I don't want that. I don't want. Why would you want to deal with more of that?
I don't know if I believe him. I think he was being humble. You saw Chuck's face. He was like, well,
the
Dad.
smirk.
Yeah, it was a smirk. It was a total smirk. But he does have bigger fish to fry and issues to take care of right now. So I think he would let his dad kind of run with that for the time being.
Yeah, but who's Chuck gonna fry next? He can't fry Axe because Axe is taking away the civil suits.
Yeah.
Though there was a little bit of a window for those suits to come back because, Orrin Bach is going to slowly dismiss all of those cases so it doesn't become another story. So perhaps there could be a halt to that in the future if Axe wanted to reignite that war. But it's going to be interesting to see us. I think we've sort of reset the season now, right? This is the end of the first half of the season. This was episode 6 of 13. So many of the first half season issues have been dealt with and set aside, and now we're starting anew. We're starting with the casino story. We're starting with Wendy and Chuck nearly back together and have to overcome this last hurdle. We're starting with Wendy being back at Axe Capital now. So it's sort of like, okay, here's the second half of this season. So it's interesting to see that everything got
next episode. You're right. It's kind
tied
of
up.
yes. The next episode is definitely going to be kind of like a what happens, like where are they going to go with this?
Yeah.
Which I like because usually you wait in the typical season of a show for the premiere or for the but you don't need that here. Billions is so good and it just gets better. I do think this episode, like you thought it was so exciting throughout. I thought it was kind of lackluster.
No.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say boring per se, but I started watching it and I'm taking my notes, but I forgot to even take my notes in the first 3 scenes because I was like, okay. Like, nothing's happening.
Right.
We knew Boyd was going to go to whatever, not trial, but he was getting out of jail. And you're just watching it. And I understand that deals were being closed and things were being said, but nothing so much as to what happened in the last few minutes where it was just like domino, domino, domino. Like it just all got knocked down and it then just turned in your face.
See, I like that everything was coming to a high point.
Yeah.
So you're right in that in a normal season, the Boyd case would have taken 12 episodes, right? And so you get to the 12th episode, and then there's, in any sort of TV show, if you watch Game of Thrones, like it's always the second to last episode that's the biggest one, and then there's one after that that's a little bit of falling action. So in this series, from last season and this season, we sort of get mid-season finales, if you will, mid-season climaxes that come up. So I think I will disagree with you that I didn't think it was a lackluster episode. I thought it was a great episode. But I do think we are resetting for a whole another fun second half.
Yeah. Next week's going to be really good.
Next week should be really good. And speaking of next week and the rest of the season, we'll move into our final segment of the show, which is our predictions for next week.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
That's new.
So I have to say mine. I'm not even going to let you go
go
first. I predict that by the end of this season, actually the last episode, the last frame of this season will be Wendy peeing on Chuck.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
You're just taking it back there.
I am.
They have done stuff like that where it's a mirror almost image of what has happened before, but in a different way. So I don't. Sure. Okay.
Submit it for the approval of the Andrea Society.
Us your thoughts on this, guys. Like, come on, I cannot be the only one responding to that prediction.
We are getting over the major issues that had happened between Wendy and Chuck to where I think we're very close to a reconciliation. And the catharsis will be that Wendy puts on some dominatrix gear and pees on him.
It's interesting. We haven't seen that a lot at all. And it was
Zero.
so heavy in the beginning.
Zero.
Jay says, yeah, no, Frank.
Okay. Well, we'll see by the end of the season.
And we have some laughs. Is that your only prediction?
you go ahead and do another one, and then I'll get another one.
Well, I mean, I already said about Dake. I don't think we've seen the last of him. Can I just say, Lonnie, his role confuses me because I feel like in the beginning, not in the beginning, he goes and comes back, but he's a very positive character. So I think something has to go wrong there eventually. I don't know if he could be always on the winning side.
I think he's going to get promoted. I think he'll get
That's interesting.
put into the head of criminology because he showed a tremendous amount of loyalty to Chuck without giving up his integrity or implicating himself or covering or lying for his boss. He knew the truth about the recusal and he didn't hide it.
That being said, I'm going to predict right here and now that Brian changes sides. In the beginning, I did not think he would.
Okay.
I think that Chuck is taking one too many shots at him, because I was going to use a word that was just gross. I think Chuck has taken one too many shots at him and correcting him too many times, treating him like a child. And I think with Brian having Oren Bach in his ear, he's just not, who not only a mentor, like, yes, he's on Axe's side, but he was a mentor of his. And I think that, yeah, Brian's just going to be like, bye.
I think that'd be fun.
That's a huge prediction from me.
Brian also gets a lot of credit from getting the Boyd case closed and sticking with Chuck through it all. But I noticed that he's still not quite as skilled as Chuck is. As much as he wants to believe it, like he walked into that meeting and Chuck comes out and he says, "We just lost our informant." And, Brian didn't realize that. And Chuck did, and without it even being said or clear, Chuck still is more skilled. There still is more to learn.
More experience, but I don't think Brian will care. I think that it's his ego is going to get to him, and like Chuck had that whole conversation with him about his emotions and how they're coming towards him. I think they're going to stay there.
They've got this big win though. I don't think that there's an urgent need for Brian to go. I mean, there was a point last season where Kate had to co-sign a lease with him so that he could have an apartment. Maybe the financial issues come back and he's offered a lot of money and make things easier.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll happen next episode, but I do predict that it'll happen.
Cool, I like that prediction.
And I'm getting some support in the chat.
Well, I don't care about them. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yes, you do.
Of course I do.
We're so excited to have this.
I know, it's so
And
nice.
someone agrees with you about Lonnie being king.
I like that person.
Oh. Yes, you do.
Thank you. So anyway, all right. So that's it. We're about to close up. Thank you so much for tuning in this
was
week
awesome.
to the AfterBuzz TV After
Episode
Show
6.
for Billions. We'll be back next week, same time at 10 p.m. Pacific. Until then, we have been Andrea Fasano.
Yep, I'm Andrea Fasano. You guys can catch me on all social media throughout the week at Andy Fasano. And thank you so much for watching and interacting with us. We love it.
And I'm Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go out, be blessed. We'll see you back soon.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.